This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on board your live safari for today. I must say a very warm welcome to Lexi and friends and Salem Elementary. You are also joining us today, so welcome on board. And of course, I must say a warm welcome to all the other children who are at home right now and you're maybe not able to go to school, so you've jumped on board with us. Welcome. My name is Lauren. I do have Owen on camera, and we've currently stopped to admire the beautiful view in front of us. We have an impala and a kudu together feeding off in the distance, and of course they're essentially friends, if you like. They are not going to harm one another in any way. They are both herbivores, which means they eat the same food, so they're probably enjoying this very cool afternoon. It's overcast, it's really not hot here today, which is a bit sad for me. I like it when it's hot, but it's good for the predators. It means we may get a lot more animals moving because it's not so hot. So please do send in your questions. That's why we're here. It's your live safari, and of course we will do our very best to try and answer all your weird and wonderful questions of today. Can you see the difference? Impala, kudu. You can see the size difference. The impalas are the smaller ones, and they're slightly more orange in colour. And these two impala are boys. How do I know that? Well, they have magnificent horns. The kudu is a female. And how do I know that? Well, she doesn't have any horns. Modastia, you're asking how many different types of animals live in the one place. Well, let's talk about our little game reserve here. It's quite small, and it's called Djuma Game Reserve. We're in South Africa, and we're in the sort of western edge of the Greater Kruger National Park, which is a very famous national park for animals. And here we have so many different types of animals, I don't think I could count, but I will break it down for you. We have lots of mammals, and you're actually looking at mammals right now. Impala and kudu are mammals, as well as your predators, your lions, your leopards, your wild dogs, your hyenas. But you also have elephants and hippos that are mammals. So we have so many different types. I'll try and show you as many as I can during this drive. We also have reptiles, snakes, geckos, lizards, tortoises, terrapins, crocodiles. We have amphibians, lots and lots of frogs. We have so many birds on this game reserve right now. I'm not sure I could possibly count them all. We do have fish in the dams, believe it or not, but sadly we don't get to see the fish. I would love to see them, but sadly they stay in the water. And of course I mustn't forget the insects. It's summer here in South Africa, not winter, and the wildlife is thriving. Insects are everywhere, from your fluttering butterflies to your crawling ants to your grasshoppers, mosquitoes. Yes, they are everywhere. So there's so many different types of animals, and of course for the first part of this drive today I'm going to try and show you as many as I possibly can. Now I think our kudu and impala are going to move off soon, so I'm also going to move off and see what else I can find for you. And it seems like my good friend James on the other vehicle has a new animal for you.
We have indeed. We have found a wildebeest, or a gnu. My name is James Henry. Hello. And on camera today is David.
Hello.
There he is. He hasn't bothered to shave, or I'm not sure if he washed today. But anyway, he's on camera today. And luckily he's behind the lens. Lovely to have you all with us. Please do ask us any questions that you want to. You can send them through and we'll do our very best to answer them, as long as they have to do with wildlife or biology or Africa. Or mathematics. You can ask me mathematics questions too, to see if I still remember my school mathematics. Now, it's an interesting time of year for these wildebeest because they're about to start breeding, and that means that there is conflict in the society. The bulls, the males, the fathers, they don't like each other very much this time of the year, and so they tend to separate out like this chap's doing, or like that chap was doing, and that is the sort of herd that he will try and keep in his territory, and then he will try and mate with the females, and hopefully they will then produce him calves come December. It's a strange sort of a day, this, really. It started off quite warm this morning, and then some heavy cloud came over during the course of the day, but it's still lovely and warm at around about 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 27 degrees Celsius. Lexi, depends what you mean by animals. So remember, before I answer this question, animals include all the insects and arachnids and mollusks, as well as the birds, the fish, the amphibians, the reptiles, and the mammals. So the biggest animal that we get here is an elephant, and the smallest animal that we get here is probably one of the ant species. There are lots of different kinds of ants, and obviously you get tiny, tiny, tiny little ants like that. Maybe even something smaller like one of the wasps, which live in the fig trees. But if you're talking about mammals, here we have got mammals. These mammals are sort of mid-sized mammals. But if we're talking about mammals, then elephants are obviously the biggest, and the smallest is probably the pygmy mouse, although there might be a few bats that are even smaller than the pygmy mouse. The pygmy mouse is about that big. Sort of the size of a little egg, really. Tiny, tiny little thing. You want to go around a bit? David's saying we should go around and get another view of these beautiful wildebeest. In the meantime, we've got another friend of ours, not too far from here, about 30 kilometers away, and his name is Rowan, and he's at Ngala.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Ngala. Hope you had a brilliant day. We are on the search for the Birmingham Pride. So actually this morning we managed...
Sorry about that. We just have a few technical glitches, but that's okay. We'll sort them out shortly, and then you'll go and meet Rowan. We've moved around to have a closer look at some of our Wildebeest friends. And they are grazing the short grasses here that have popped up after the extensive and very generous rains that we've had this year. For a long time the wildebeest was struggling because there was really very little grass at all. And in fact the area that you're looking at now was almost just sort of greyish white soil. And then the rains came, and there's so many seeds in the soil from so many years of there being grass here that all the grasses popped up, and now we've got lovely grasses for all the wildebeest and the impala and all the other grazers to eat. Ooh, and there's an oxpecker there. That is called the red-billed oxpecker, which many of you will know, and that red-billed oxpecker likes to eat ticks and other ectoparasites. And it's not the only bird around. If you look on the ground there, David, you'll see that there are two species of bird there. And one of them is the Burchell's starling. There we are. And the other, just to the right of that, looks like a Senegal... No, zoom. Middle of the picture. There we are. The crowned lapwing. Now, both of those species of birds are following the wildebeest. And the reason they're following it is that he'll be kicking up a whole lot of insects as he grazes. And the birds would love to eat those insects, and so they're waiting for the wildebeest to kick up the insects for them. Quite clever, really. Lexi's wondering about why they've got horns and what they use them for. Well, a wildebeest uses its horns for two things. The bulls use their horns, so that's the male wildebeest. They use their horns to fight with each other and to defend themselves from predators. And the females usually just use their horns to defend themselves from predators. There are a number of other fairly complicated reasons for why we think female animals like wildebeest or tsessebe or hartebeest have horns, but I'm not going to go into those because they're very complicated and they're quite difficult to understand if you don't have a good knowledge of breeding biology, which most of you will not have just yet. See the starling? Beautiful blue colours, juxtaposed with the lovely green of the grass here. A nice light, very pretty light here. Now our plan for the afternoon is not to sit with wildebeest all afternoon, but we will go round towards the waterholes and see if we can find something there. And I'm going to go up towards a waterhole we were at yesterday where there was a lovely leopard. Now, something very exciting all the way over at Ngala. Ngala, of course, means lion, and so Rowan has found them.
Right, everyone, welcome back to andBeyond Ngala. My name's Rowan. I'll be your guide this afternoon. Behind the camera, again, Marcel. And look what we just found. Literally about 10 seconds ago, myself and Marcel driving on this road, thinking that the pride might have walked south, a little bit southeast into this area, and there they are, the Birmingham pride. So we had this magnificent idea about leaving at 2:30 to check the last position. Yapi and Nikki managed to find them this morning at around 10 o'clock, so when we were off the live episode, and we thought, let's just quickly go into the last position, hopefully they're still there. But with the weather change being so cloudy and a nice little breeze going, you can actually see the movement in the grass in front of the pride. They, of course, had to move. So we've been driving around for the last hour and a quarter trying to find the Birmingham pride. And just about a minute ago now, we found them. You could see they're actually still grooming each other. So in a bit, I'm hoping that either one of the little white lions will lift its head, and you can see the blood still on their shoulders, on their faces. So it's very likely that they caught something a little bit earlier. But for now, they're just cleaning each other. So that's the lovely thing about these lions, as they are social creatures. They interact with each other, and there's always a social bond, often strengthened by exactly what they are doing now. Wow! Spent the whole morning looking for this, and it just paid off. I've got goosebumps. I am so excited at this moment. Beautiful cubs lifting, yeah. Sorry, can you repeat the question? It's, yeah.
Age 8, I think. Why do lions have manes?
Okay, so James just asked why lions have manes. So James, you can see the little white cub, that's the tiny little female. She just popped up her head, and if you can see in the camera, especially in this light, you can still see a bit of blood on the face. Oh, stunning, eh? Absolutely gorgeous. See how she blends in with the grass as well. So James, just to continue with your question, there are no big males here at the moment, but usually it's only the males that grow these manes, and it's often for protection of the head and neck area, especially if they go and they have to almost take over territory. What would then happen is sadly they have to fight with some of the other males that are already around in the territory, and they almost have to push them away to take over a pride. So it affords protection on the neck and the head, and of course I think it also provides some sense, it makes them look prettier to lionesses, especially the bigger the mane, the bigger the lion looks. And I think that also plays a very large role in the lion society. Wow. So happy. So. Go with the name. Lexi just asked us, what is the biggest pride of lions? Lexi, I'm going to talk here about personal experience. See, how funny is that? Just the paw resting on the mom's face as she licks her. So in my experience here at Ngala, the largest pride of lions I've ever seen is actually the Birmingham Pride. Big smile there. So this is only really the natal pride, where the original Birmingham Pride comes from. Then a number of years ago, some of the Birmingham Pride split off, which we now call the Birmingham Breakaway Pride. But I think about 4 or 5 years ago now, I saw all of them together, 33 lions in total, lying in the sand in the Timavati riverbed. It is something I will never, ever, ever forget, Lexi. Thanks for asking me that and reminding me. It's amazing how the one youngster is cleaning the mom, and then the mom is cleaning the other youngster. The rest of them just passed out. Okay, so while these lions are still cleaning each other, and we'll wait a little bit with them. Actually, we're going to spend quite a bit of time here just seeing if anything changes. But while they're just lazing about, we're going to send you back to Juma and back to James, who is now sitting with a kingfisher.
This is a very beautiful and special little kingfisher called the malachite kingfisher. And I'm sure you'll agree that he's rather magnificent. Look at his gorgeous colours. And the bird you can hear in the background is called a little grebe, and the little grebes have got a nest just below where this kingfisher is looking for frogs and fish. Yeah, it's behind that log, I'm afraid. That's why you can't see it, David. So they'll eat frogs and insects mainly, at least frogs and fish and insects. Well, Ben and Tesla, it's an interesting question, but you know, I'm not sure, are you asking, are they happy with fewer people visiting them because so many people have to stay at home? I think you'll find that they are possibly noticing that there are fewer vehicles driving around and fewer people looking at them, but I don't think they really notice, you know, Ben and Tesla. Maybe after a couple of months, if there was nobody around and then suddenly there were people around, it might make a difference. But I don't actually think that there will be a huge difference to the animals. Now this animal, the malachite kingfisher, is normally only found where there's quite a lot of water, so we don't often see them here. But we've had a very good rainy season, and so now we're seeing them quite nicely. I'm going to go back a little bit just so that David can maybe get that nest in of the little grebe. You see the nest of the little grebe? Yes? There it is, yeah. That's him. Yeah. That's the nest there behind all those sticks, everybody. Sorry, who was asking the question about why the kingfishers have got so many colours? Yeah, there's no eggy there. Lexi, you're wondering why there's so many different colours. That's a difficult question to answer, and I don't actually know the answer. In a lot of different kinds of birds, only the male is colourful and the female isn't colourful. And then it's an easy question to answer. The male is brightly coloured in order to attract the female. But in some species, like this kingfisher here, it's not really easy to explain why both the male and the female are bright colours. And there are lots of different kinds of birds that have the same kind of feature. So there's this kingfisher, the lilac-breasted roller is a good example. The bee-eaters are good examples. And why they should have evolved such remarkable colours, or what advantage it confers upon them, is really quite difficult to understand. It's a good question. And I haven't heard anybody or read anything that gives me an answer I'm satisfied with. We are having a wonderful afternoon tonight, or today. We've had lots of different mammals, and we're now moving on to another predator.
Exactly, James. I have another top predator who doesn't look very scary right now because she's snoozing. But this is Ribbon, everyone. She is a spotted hyena, and she is a predator. And I think Rowan was telling you all about lions being social animals. Hyenas are actually very, very social as well. Now, why I am here right now saying hello to Ribbon is because she is a brand new mother. And inside that termite mound, that big mound that you can see, she has got 2 brand new cubs. Now, we managed to get a view of them once, but no one has seen them since. So I'm thinking about visiting, leaving, coming back again, leaving, because I want to try and get a glimpse of these cubs. There's 2 of them, and they're extremely cute. They're about 5 to 6 days old, and they look like little black bears. They don't have spots yet, so they don't look anything like Ribbon. You can see Ribbon has spots on her body, and she's very tired. She's a brand new mother. She's probably been walking for miles at night time to get food. So she's sleeping during the day, but she has to remain alert. She'll snooze a little bit, but if she hears anything or smells anything, she'll be awake. Oh, Ribbon, that's a big tummy. What did you eat last night? I think she ate a lot last night, everyone. Her tummy is absolutely ginormous. But Ribbon is fantastic, and she's actually what we call the matriarch of our clan here. Now, a group of lions is called a pride, but a group of hyenas is called a clan. And Ribbon here is at the top of this clan. Oh. She's a very, very impressive hyena. And of course, she's now given birth. So it's a very exciting time for this new mum. And hopefully, sooner or later, we'll be able to see the little cubs running around the den. Hyena cubs are wild. They're very naughty, very, very naughty. And hopefully that time will come soon. Lexi, you are 8 years old. It is so good to meet you, and I'm very happy you're asking us questions. You've asked a very difficult one. What is the most dangerous predator in the park? I think all predators are essentially dangerous, as long as... Ribbon's just given us a terrible view now. Shall I move on, or can you work with this? It's not a great view. Okay, as long as you can see her. I think all predators technically could be classified as dangerous because they're very powerful. They're much stronger than humans. Most of them can run faster than humans. They've got sharp teeth. But as long as you're very, very sensible out here, they won't harm you. You've got to know how to behave around animals, how to respect them, give them distance, read their body language, And of course, you have to be trained. We're all trained out here to understand how to be around the animals. We don't put ourselves in a position where we could be harmed. But it's not just predators. Elephants can also be dangerous to encounter here. Even hippos and buffalo. So I'm not sure, Lexi, what one I would say would be the most dangerous. Probably a pride of lions at night time. If you bumped into a pride of lions in the dark, then you could be in a little bit of trouble. Most of the predators, most, not all, are actually nocturnal. And what that means is that they are active during the night, which means they sleep most of the day, like Ribbon here. The opposite of nocturnal is diurnal, and that means that you're active during the day and you sleep through the night, just like me, or just like humans in general. So I am going to bumble on and see what else I can find for you all as Ribbon takes a snooze. And while I do that, we're going to send you across to Ngala with those beautiful white lions.
Okay, so welcome back to andBeyond Ngala. Thanks, Lauren. At the moment, we've got the camera focused on the youngest lioness in this pride. She's the sister of the other little white lioness who's got her head down for now. Hopefully a little bit later she'll pick her head up as well. You can see what they're actually doing. If you look at the younger, the tawny one again, she lifts her head every now and then just into the wind to see what's going on, to sniff any scent that might be coming off. See, now he might have heard something, him lifting his head, staring in another direction. But yeah, very, very exciting to have the entire, Birmingham Pride here. So there are no Ross males here. The two Ross males are not with the Pride at the moment, and it might actually be that we, myself and Marcel, if you tune in, or if you were with us this morning, that we could have been hearing one of those. And let me give you a brief history, a small little family tree of this pride. To the right, furthest right, closest to us, that is one of the oldest lionesses in this pride. She's just over 14 years. She's got her paw on her sister's leg, which is also just over 14 years old now. So if you remember this morning, I got asked about the Birmingham boys, and I actually made the mistake of mentioning that we'll be seeing the Birmingham boys' sisters, and it just later hit me that we're not going to be seeing the sisters. The sisters are now the lead lionesses of the Birmingham Breakaway Pride. What we're looking at there, those two old lionesses are actually the mothers of the two Birmingham boys. Further on, furthest lion away from us, with his leg up like that in the air, he is the sub-adult male in this pride. He's got a sister, not that one. I think actually the one behind the one lifting her leg, it would be his sister. They are now about 3 years, 7 to 8 months old. A rather sad story though, that in 2016, end of 2016, 2017, we had quite a bad case of mange run through the property, and nearly all our lion cubs contracted these. So it used to be 3 litters of 9 cubs in total, and these are the only 2 remaining of those litters. What's sad though is he would have had 3 other brothers. So I hope some of you watched that video that we posted on andBeyond Travel, and someone also posted it to the Twitter feed, which is lovely. Thank you for that. But what's happening now is that the Ross males are trying to kick him out time again and over and over and over, just trying to push him out of the pride, because he's actually come to this age now where he might be a danger to them. So what they're going to try to do is just push him out as much as possible. So if his 3 brothers were still alive, he would have left already. That would also be the safety of a coalition of having extra brothers, also helps him to hunt. But now at this stage, he'll be kicked out for about 3 days and then come back to the pride over and over again. Right. Okay, so Leland asked the magical question. How rare are white lions? Leland, to give you an idea, you are now looking at 2 of only 3 wild white lions in the entire world. Dramatic pause, just for that to sink in. The third white lion is in another property called Singita Lebombo, around that area. The 2 that we have, remember, keyword here being wild. They were born in the wild from a wild gene. So with white lions, what happens is the mother and the father both needs to have this recessive gene. It's like a color inhibitor gene, which causes the leucism or the whiteness. So it's not an albino lion. If you actually look at the back of the male white lion's ear, you can see there's still pigmentation. It's a little bit darker. The tip of his tail also a little bit darker. And then his eyes are grayish blue. So there is still pigmentation. To not be confused with an albino lion. These are not albino lions, just wild white lions. So Leland, very rare. The white lion gene originated in the Timavati. I think they were first recorded in 1938. But, I mean, old folk that used to live here talks about them from at least 400 years ago. But the gene actually died out for an entire 15 years. No one saw wild white lions. And then the one at Singita. He's an older male now, nearly the size, actually maybe the age of our sub-adult male lying down there in the back. But yeah, it's a long time without any wild white lions. Good question, Leland. Thank you for that. So Brody just asked a very interesting question as well. He wanted to know whether the lions needs to hunt a lot. I'll mostly just speak from experience while we're sitting here with this pride in front of us. It often goes that lions don't eat for 5 to 7 days. Saying that though, it's not something they choose. So if a lion could, it would most probably hunt every day, twice a day. They're very opportunistic hunters. So even them lying down here, very still, looks like they are fast asleep, legs up in the air, not a care in the world. If anything had to walk past here and actually offered the opportunity of being hunted, they would go into that stalk mode, where they hunkered down, shoulders pressed up, tail down, ears pressed back, and try hunted. So there's no specific rule saying lions need to hunt every second day, every third day. But yeah, if the opportunity is there, they're going to take it. Actually, interestingly enough, Marcel, if you focus on the older lioness's paw, zoom in there, you can actually see still a bit of blood on the paw as it's resting on the sister. So they definitely hunted between when Yapi and Nikki found them this morning and us finding him now again this afternoon. Specifically, you can see it more on the white lions. I don't think it was something very big. Maybe it could have been an Impala or something. I mean, if you look at their bellies, they're not really full. Some lions are breathing a lot faster than other lions. That probably means they got more food than the rest of them. Love how they put their feet up in the air like that, open their legs just to cool down, especially in this nice little breeze. I think they are enjoying this. So for now, while these lions are still sleeping, still trying to cool down and digest their food, we're going to send you back to James, who's got a little surprise for you guys.
a surprise, a giraffe surprise. There it is, a bull giraffe surprise with 5 oxpeckers on it. Isn't that nice? What a special thing to see those white lions. That's really, really special. I'm quite jealous. Even though this giraffe is beautiful, I'm really excited that in just one day of driving at Ngala, we've already got those famous white lions of the Timbavati. Isn't that special? Great stuff. Now, I believe that we've got a really unprecedented number of people watching the show today. We're not really sure why that is the case, but it's wonderful to have all of you here. I'm sure there's a combination of new viewers who've joined us through their knowledge of Ngala, probably the white lions that have attracted a whole lot of people here. And I suppose slightly unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, we've got a whole new safari audience brought to us by those people who have to stay at home because of the coronavirus. So those of you who stuck at home with not much to do are enjoying the wilderness virtually with us out here. And our sympathies go out to you, being stuck at home wherever you are. But I hope that you are drawing some joy and some wild healing from being here in the wilderness virtually with us. So, good and solid welcome to all of you. It's wonderful to have you with us here on safari. Send us your questions, send us your comments, and just enjoy the ride. This giraffe, as you can see, is not giving great consideration to the trials of the human world. It's just looking blankly into a bush, and I'm not really sure why it's doing that. Hello, Miles. These giraffe can reach up to 5 meters in length, if you can believe it. 5 meters. That is very tall indeed. It is certainly taller than me. I am not 5 meters in length, nor is David, in fact. No, in fact, the tallest person in the world, I think, was about 2.5 meters, so twice the height of the tallest person in the world. Isn't that amazing? I think that's pretty impressive. So 5 meters would be a pretty tall giraffe. Yeah, it's around about 5 meters. In fact, some giraffe in some parts of the world are definitely at least 5 meters old, 5 meters tall. Oh, James and Liv, it's so difficult to say what the tallest giraffe I've ever seen is because I've never actually mentioned one, believe it, or at least measured one, believe it or not. It's almost impossible. So all of these measurements that I'm giving you normally are guesses. You know, we can sort of guess at their height from here. So I don't know which the tallest one I've seen is, but probably around about 5 to 5.5 meters probably, I'm guessing. Let us now go back to the sleepy white lions of the Timbavati, and we'll head on towards a waterhole where hopefully we will find a spotted cat, aka a leopard.
Okay, welcome back to our sleepy lions. It's actually stunning. What I've asked Marcel to do is zoom in on the sister of the sub-adult male that we were talking about earlier, just so you can also see her face. So she is pregnant at the moment. So quite an exciting time here. If I had to guess, maybe another month and a half or so. It's a little bit tough. We haven't really been seeing too much swelling, but definitely if you look at her teats, you can see she's pregnant, without a doubt. So just to carry on with the story a little bit earlier, that would be the sister of the young male I was speaking of. So we just changed our position a slight bit, with the sun is now nearly almost behind us, and yeah, just continuing watching beautiful lions sleep. It is honestly just so exciting that we spent the whole morning drive tracking, looking for them here, looking for them there, and they were literally now found about 50 meters off the road. Oh, you can see one of the older lionesses, actually both older lionesses, lifting their heads. maybe just heard something or caught the whiff of something, a smell, they are back down, back to sleep. See them twitching their ears every now and then. There are quite a few flies in this area. As you can imagine, they do not bath or shower every single day, so the flies tend to bother them quite a bit more than they are bothering myself and Marcel at this stage. Beautiful tiny back paw of the one just to the right of the large lioness. It's a very peaceful setting, isn't it? Thinking you are spending time with this entire pride. So some ask us the question now, why are they called the Birmingham Pride if they are on Ngala? Some very good question. I don't know if you know this, but Ngala actually means lion in the local dialect in Shangaan. So the word for lion in Shangaan would be Ngala. So it'd actually be funny to have a pride called Ngala Pride, so lions. I would like it, to be honest. I think someday we should have an Ngala Pride, but for now, because the older lionesses are, we think, just over 14 years old, and they were actually not born on Ngala. So again, we name our animals or our prides from where they were born. Majority of the prides that come onto this reserve. So the Birmingham Pride was actually born on the Birmingham property, which is just south and west of us, on our southwestern boundary. But very, very good question. Glad you brought that up. The young male is being irritated by flies, which is why he's swatting at his face every now and then. It's actually rather funny and enjoyable to watch, especially male animals get irritated with flies. There's more testosterone, so they are often quickly to snap at the air, mouth open, and actually bite at flies. And I think for now, this guy looks just a little bit lazy. Might open her eyes soon, hopefully. Or maybe just roll back again to the other side. Can actually see a bit of his mane here as well. So this will just grow as he gets older and older. We're hoping for a very big mane. Okay, so while these are still sleeping and resting, seems like James is on the look for leopard, which is very exciting, my favorite animal. We'll send you back towards him on Juma.
Well, we haven't found any yet, but we're going to keep on trying. I think I just saw a little lizard. No, it has disappeared. Never mind, we shall carry on. We're going to head up towards the northeast corner of the reserve where there is a dam, and we'll see if we can't find our friend Claramba the leopardess over there. Did you hear anything, David? Oh, here we go. James and Liv are wondering how fast leopards run. Well, it's difficult to say because we don't ever really get the chance to time them in a straight line. So it's not like with a human being where you can say to the human being, okay, run from there to there as fast as you can, and then we'll measure how fast you run. Because leopards don't, if you say to a leopard, please will you run from that bush over there to that bush over there, they don't normally do it. So it's quite difficult to guess. But we think that a leopard can probably run for a very short distance, very quickly, at around about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. So that's about 50 miles an hour. They're incredibly fast. But only for a short distance. And their real, I suppose, weapon is the fact that they can get to top speed almost immediately. So they're very surprising out of a bush. Can you see it, Dave? There's a paradise flycatcher that just flew across the road there. Beautiful bird. I can hear it. But I can't see it any longer. It's a gorgeous flycatcher with a long russet tail, beautiful blue eyes. You can just hear it in there going choo choo, choo choo. Alright kids, that's going to be it from our school or kids drive today. Please do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. It'll be lovely to have you on board with us. We'll see you then.
Hi everyone, my name is Rowan. I'm coming to you from andBeyond Ngala, and we are sitting here with the Birmingham Pride. That was the young male that just popped his head back down. Right, so we spent the entire morning looking for these lions and managed to find them again this afternoon. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous day. You can imagine the excitement with me and Marcel. It's also only the second time Marcel's seen them since he's been here. So very, very good afternoon. The one rolls over and the other one rolls over as well to fit into a more comfortable position. So this is the Birmingham Pride that has the two white youngsters with them. Those are the two furthest away in the back, the young male and the young female. They are now, the young male just turned 1.5 years and the young female is just over 11.5 months old at this stage. Nearly a year. Love how lions touch each other when they sleep. There's always that social interaction. Just got a question from Mia asking if all white lions have blue eyes. A very interesting question. Mia, I am not going to lie to you and say yes. I can tell you honestly that both our white lions have blue eyes, but I don't think I've spent enough time looking at other white lions to actually see whether they also have blue eyes. So I'm not really 100% sure, and I would rather not lie to you. But I don't think they do. See a tiny scratch, flick of the tail, flick of the paw, still getting irritated by flies, flick of the ear. This young male here in front. Oh, nice little breeze going. Okay, so while these are still sleeping, I'm gonna send you back to Lauren, who's still driving around, looking for anything more interesting. So yes, you are going back to Juma and you'll join Lauren just for a little while.
Good afternoon and welcome, of course, to your live safari. Yes, I am still looking for animals, not had much luck, but my name is Lauren. I do have Owen on camera and we're hoping to, well, you know, casually bump into a leopard, as you do. Now, those of you who are watching Kids Drive, I popped in to see Ribbon and it was a fleeting visit, and the reason I did that was because we're not catching her suckling. We're going at the normal times that you would see a mother suckle, but we're not seeing it. I know the cubs are very, very young. Every morning we've seen Ribbon with the fullest of bellies, which means she's been roaming at night time and successfully found something, goodness knows what. Therefore, we're not getting the timing quite right for suckling. So because of the weather today, I'm sure you've already been told, as heavy as overcast. I'm not entirely sure what kind of night we're in store. Well, what the night has in store for us, should I say. But I'm doing a quick bumble around some roads and then I'm going to head back to Ribbon. And then if she's still sleeping, I'll leave her again and then I'll come back because I really want to see, well, I think it's important for us to see all the dynamics around the den. And of course, I think it's really, really important that we get to see the cubs again. So that's my plan for today. Of course, casually bumping a leopard as well as part of that plan. But I promised you all I would go into the Juma clan hierarchy and dynamics. And I know that many of you are joining us and you're new. So welcome on board. And I think it would be great because we do have so many new people with us to dive into the Juma clan. Now, the Juma clan is a clan of hyenas. And there's really not that many of them. But we do, of course, follow lions out here. We follow leopards, and we do really follow our hyenas. We can recognize them all individually, and they're very, very important to us here in Juma. So I thought it would be lovely to just go through who is related to who, how old each individual is, and their status in that hierarchy of hyenas. So I've got everything I need with me, and then once we do get back to the den to check on Ribbon once more, I'll go through the hierarchy with you. So I hope that sounds exciting for you all. There's definitely something nasty moving in from the south, so I'm going to head north and get away from it. If it rains on us in this beautiful Mahindra, then we may be in a little bit of trouble. So hopefully it does not. The skies look blue in the north and very dark and heavy in the south. Yandy, you're saying I should explain who Ribbon is. Absolutely, you are right. Ribbon is the matriarch of our Juma clan of hyenas. She's a female and she's right at the top. So essentially she's queen because within hyena societies, it's female dominated. It's a matriarchal system basically, and it's all about the females. So they operate on a hierarchy from the highest ranking hyena, who will be termed the matriarch, to the lowest ranking hyena, who, well, doesn't have a term. They are just the lowest rank. So there's a ladder there, there's a structure, there's a hierarchy, and it's very, very important to hyena dynamics. And the only real way you can sort of assess who's high rank, who's low rank, is by watching them, observing them, and spending time with them. So the Juma clan have gone through a lot lately. There's been a lot of fighting, battling, and a matriarchal takeover. So Ribbon is now the matriarch, and she just gave birth. She gave birth to 2 brand new cubs, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're only a handful of days old. So that's why we want to keep popping back to the den site, which is really not too far away from our camp, and checking on these cubs, checking on the dynamic, who's there, who's not there, who's interacting with who. And that is, of course, how we learn. Not everyone in this area monitors the hyenas or even gives them names or even really cares about the hyenas, I'm afraid, but we do. They're very, very important to the ecosystem out here. They're very much part of the predator hierarchy, and, well, I just love them. And I'm sure some of you are going to fall in love with them too. If you've never seen hyenas before, I promise you will fall in love. Okay, so I've not bumped into that leopard yet, but I will. As we slowly head back to the hyena den, we're going to send you across to James to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I suspect we're talking to precisely the same audience we were a little bit earlier, except my tone is not quite so jovial. It is more adult and mature, as you can see. My name is James Hendry. On camera we've got David, who's wearing a harlequin bandana this afternoon.
It's called a buff.
It's called a buff?
Yes.
What's the difference between that and a bandana?
I don't know, it's before my time.
It's a hat, basically, with no top to it.
Yes.
It looks like, basically, you've put a sock on your head.
Pantyhose.
Some pantyhose. A harlequin pantyhose on your head with no toe.
Very good.
Such are the ways of the young. Anyway, send us your questions, as I'm sure the other two have told you. Hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the YouTube chat stream by @ing FC. Yes, believe it or not, for our new viewers, @ is now also used as a verb. Can you believe it? Also, some of you are watching on Twitch, and you can use the @ in the chat stream on Twitch too. Good. Our plan is to head towards a waterhole, which is just around the corner here. We are going to hopefully bump into Kalamba, the leopardess, who we bumped into there yesterday afternoon. We had a wonderful time with her just towards the end of drive, and with any luck that will happen again. But I suspect things will not turn out as we planned, but they could turn out completely differently. Somebody who is in for a very long afternoon of presenting this afternoon is Rowan, because of course he is with the famous white lions of the Timbavati.
Okay, so welcome back to Ngala. We are still sitting with the Birmingham Pride. As now you can see, we are focused on the smaller white lion, the little girl, the female, which is just over 7.5 months old. No, sorry, 11.5 months old now. Just trying to keep up with all the dates. See the little pink nose there? It's a bit tough with the long grass, although they could have chosen a much tougher spot. I mean, at least here they are all out in the open, and you can quite clearly see the whole big pride. So Joy just asked how far this lion's territory extend. Joy, they traverse the entire Ngala, except for the northern part. We've actually never found them in the little segment that is just north of Ngala. So probably about 14 to 15 square kilometers. It's actually rather large. But the two males that are not here with the pride, the two Ross males, they are dominant over this pride and the breakaway pride, the Birmingham breakaway pride, which is basically their sister pride and extends further to the west. But yeah, I would say about 14 square kilometers, or about 14,000 hectares. So rather large territory. They have been known to go a little bit into Timbavati. We had them there for about 2 nights last year, and they also go to Orpen Camp, which is one of the Kruger National Park rest camps. I love how they always put a paw on the lion next to them. It's like snuggling. The tiny little one, the tiny tawny one, the sister of the smaller white lion, she just lifted her head, looked up a little bit, and then back to bed. If you look at her belly, she doesn't look that full. So I don't think she got a lot of whatever they ate a little bit earlier. So I can't exactly tell you what they ate. We missed that. But if I had to take a guess, maybe an Impala, maybe a small wildebeest or zebra. I mean, with this number of lions, something like that just would not last too long. Just see every now and then a stretch here or over there. There we go, cooling down for a little bit. So as you can imagine, lions lying down on their side, on one side, it heats up the grass. So for them to roll over onto cooler grass, cools them down again. Just no worries in the world. I think being the apex predator out here, they are perfectly fine. Just got a question, didn't quite catch the name, but asking when is the best time for these lions to hunt and what would be their favorite prey? Okay, so the question came from Coast Cider, asking when do these lions prefer to hunt and what would be their favorite prey? So, Coast Cider, interesting question. These cats are mostly nocturnal. Saying that it's not a strict rule, meaning that they only hunt at night, because they don't. This hunt, for instance, today would have happened in the middle of the day. They were found at 10 o'clock this morning, and then we only found them just before, 3:30, just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. So they must have hunted something right in the middle of the day. But cats, being mostly nocturnal, their eyesight is a lot better at night. So they would prefer to almost hunt at night. Especially tonight would be a great night. Because it's cloudy weather, quite a strong breeze coming. So all the light from the moon is going to be shut off. There will be no light from the moon at all. And the wind will actually mask their scent and smell. So hopefully tonight they'll be on the hunt once again. Prey species. With this pride, I can't really tell you that there's a favorite. We've seen them eat zebra, impala, wildebeest, buffalo, giraffe. Yeah, I don't think they have a favorite, to be honest. I think out here, any opportunity that exists, they'll just go for it. Okay, so what we might do now, these lions are fast asleep, so I think we'll actually let them sleep for a little while. We're going to head into the south. I know Sean and Andre found tracks of a male leopard, so we might just head into the south. They say the tracks are very fresh, but for now we'll leave these sleeping. We'll send you back to Juma with James, who's got a hippo, and then maybe we'll try look for this pride a little bit later if there's time. Otherwise, let's try see if we can find a leopard.
I see that andBeyond Ngala is on fire this afternoon. That's very exciting indeed. Just in case you are wondering, andBeyond, of course, is the company into which Ngala falls. It's the stable. There's a vast stable of magnificent properties throughout Africa, including Kenya, Tanzania, let me see if I can get this right, Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. I don't think there's anything in Rwanda yet. There might be, I'm not sure. Anyway, beautiful properties, beautiful areas, wonderful lodges, excellent guides, and so from now on we will be referring to Ngala as andBeyond Ngala, because that is the stable into which it fits. Okay, good. We're sitting here with some hippopotamus, 3 hippopotamus, 1 mummy, 1 bebe, and I don't know if the other one is another female or a bull. Now this is where we saw Talamba, the female leopard, yesterday evening. She was born in November. Oh, there are 4 hippopotamus here. Looks like 2 cows, 1 bull and 1 tiny bebe. A bit of interaction going on there. Anyway, Talamba born in November of 2017. So quite a young leopard, just territorial in this area. and we've watched her pretty much from the day she was born. Hello Rex and Ella, you're wondering how many leopards we have in the reserve. It's difficult to say. The average leopard sort of territory in this area is probably around about 1,000 hectares or so, and so Juma is big enough for one complete leopard territory. But obviously leopards don't know the difference between our boundaries and their own, or they don't understand our boundaries. And so what we have is basically 3 females that use Juma as part of their territory. So that's Tlalamba, and then her mother, whose name is Tandi, and then another leopard called Shidulu, who is to the west. And so those are the 3 main females that we'll see on Juma from time to time. And then there is a male called Tingana, and he uses most of Juma as his territory, and very seldom we'll see another male called Mulwati, and we'll see a male called Gijima, but that's very seldom, and a male called Hukumuri. So Tingana and Hukumuri are the 2 males that we see from time to time. So it's really difficult for me to say how many we have. Those are the main adult leopards that we see in this area. Have I left anyone out, David? I don't think so. I think I've got them all. Then sometimes we also traverse on a reserve called Chitwa Chitwa, which is down to the south, and on that reserve there are another 2 females that we see every so often. And then if they've got cubs, well, one of them definitely, 2 of them have cubs, and so if we were very lucky we'd see them too. So potentially there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 odd that we could see, but it's highly unlikely that they'd all be on our traversing area at one time. Now if you go across to Ngala, which is slightly larger than this, well, it's 10 times larger than the area we're operating in right now, you'll find that the leopards probably have territories that are slightly larger than they are here. That's got nothing to do with the size, but the further north you go in the Kruger, the bigger the territories tend to get, and so you'll probably find, potentially a greater number of leopards, but their territories will be that much bigger than they are here. Of course, all of this is very rough speak. None of it is set in stone. Lovely watching the hippos here. The reason I'm not moving at the moment is that we spent a long time here yesterday being greatly entertained by elephants and hippos, green-backed herons, and then eventually the leopard just pitched up on her own. So we'll look around and we'll probably come back to this waterhole, and while we do that, you're going to go over to Lauren and see what she's doing.
I am just watching this male Impala here. Why? He looks a little alert. He is definitely being, well, groomed and maintained by the oxpecker. But he just looked very alert. And Impalas can really, really give the game away. They, of course, can alarm call or they can run. And they can really sort of tell you the story of what's going on around you. And I don't think Impalas are given enough credit. I have found so many predators, mainly leopards, from watching the behavior of Impala. So I was just having a little look at that lone ram. And I'm almost at the hyena den, I promise. I think this is perfect timing now. It's cool, the temperatures are cool, it's dark, and therefore the cubs are more sort of likely to be out than they would be if it was a really, really hot, sunny day. So I'm almost there. We had a little look around in case we could see any signs of predators, tracks. We looked up trees, but sadly, nothing. Not only is this the perfect time or the perfect weather for cubs to be out, it's also the perfect time for predators to be mobile. When it's too hot, animals just seek shades. They just seek cool areas, up trees, in the vegetation, and it's very, very difficult to find them. But of course, when it's cool, like today, this is when you will see the animals moving. And of course, because it's summer here, it's so thick. It's definitely not as easy to find predators as it is in the winter. Jack, you really hope to see Shadulu. Is she your favourite, Jack? Shadulu is our Duchess of the West. She's a territorial female leopard whose territory is mostly the west, an area that we really can't traverse. But it also includes our little property, Juma, as well. So she comes into Juma just on the western side, not very far, often, time to time. We actually caught her hunting on Juma in December. And she's got a cub, Cara, who's reaching the independence age, but she's not there yet. And I would love to see Shadulu too, Jack. I really would. Beautiful, beautiful leopardess, and actually a very large leopardess. I think she's the biggest leopardess that I've seen out here. So I really hope so too. It's a... Okay, I thought I saw something in the pan there. So I'm almost at the hyena den. I'm going to race ahead and actually pop my jacket on as it's rather chilly. And while I do that, we're going to send you across to James and see what he's up to.
We're trying desperately to find a brown butterfly, and I'm trying to identify which species of brown it is. Possibly a squinting bush brown, although I've not seen one of those here before, I don't think. Gosh, if it is that, that'll be quite special. I think that's what it is. In case there are a few of you who watch and enjoy the butterflies regularly, I suspect that'll be quite a special butterfly. Is he there, David?
I don't see him.
You've lost him, have you?
I have.
Maybe you could try harder next time. Perhaps do a slightly better job. Well, you can't win all the time. I think it was a squinting bush brown. I'll show you a picture of it on my application for butterflies. Brown, squinting bush brown. Shall I hold it there, David? Is that okay? Shall I shake it like that? Is that? No, it doesn't help you. So what I saw was basically that arrangement of spots along the margins. Now I must at this point state that my ability to identify butterflies is not very good. I am notoriously poor at recognizing things that I've seen before, but that's what I think that one was. So, as we haven't seen it, I'm going to tell you that's definitely what it was, so nobody can say otherwise. No luck with Alpha just yet. My goodness. Apparently they're talking about WildEarth on Cape Talk Radio at the moment. Thank you, Joy, for that. That's a local radio station in Cape Town. And many of the residents of Cape Town, of course, think that the Kruger National Park is in a different, possibly on a different planet from the one where they live. Cape Town is a planet on its own. And so for them to be watching us will be wonderful. We'll teach them that we're actually in the same country. It'd be lovely to have some Cape Townians with us. I know there are some with us, and I am just being facetious. I'm not trying to be insulting. Yeah, it's amazing, Michael. There's 6,000 people watching today, which is just fantastic. It's a real honor to have all of you on board with us today. I really mean that. It's an honor to be taking you on safari, and I'm hoping that wherever you're experiencing these difficult times, being in the wild like this is providing you with a source of healing and joy. So our plan now is going to be to drive around back towards that waterhole. It's unlikely that too much is going to come down to drink at the moment. The clouds have set in. The animals are not going to be particularly thirsty. And so while we do that, what we're going to do is send you back 30 to 50 kilometers north of us to Rowan at andBeyond Ngala.
Okay, welcome back to andBeyond Ngala. So this morning what happened was I showed you a jackal, and then James had to one-up me and show you a jackal eating a scrub hare. So now, while he looks for a leopard, we're going to try one-up him and show you a leopard before James shows you a leopard. I do have good news. Sean and Andre, which you'll probably see now, they managed to find a leopard. So give it about 2 or 3 minutes and we should be able to see this leopard as well. Just quickly find where they are. I'm excited. This is one of my favorite leopards on the property. It's a young male known as Makati male. Oh yeah. Let's see. Let's take this truck in. So this young male is 25 months, just over 2 years, known as the Makati male. Mishka asked us how heavy a leopard is. So Mishka, it depends on whether it's a male or female. A big fully grown male could reach up to 90 kilograms, normally more towards 80 kilograms. And then a female is usually between 50 and 60 kilograms. This young male that we're going to see now, he is not yet fully grown. He's actually rather small still. So I would average him at around 45 to 50 kilograms. However, they are a lot stronger than they look, especially for their size. Oh, Ian has asked for history and information on me. Ian, I am sorry. For now, I'm not going to answer this question. I have the leopard right in front of me. There's Sean and Andre to our left. They're the two that managed to find the leopard for us. Let's see if we can actually pop him. Ian, there's the leopard. You can see the white curl on the tail, fully exposed. There we go, the young Makati male. So what we're going to try do while he's on the move is we'll slowly maneuver around him. We don't want to hinder him at all. You'll see we can get rather close. This animal is fully habituated to the vehicle, very used to the vehicle. But he's slowly just moving through the grass, almost keeping himself down low. You can see the tail still curled up, exposing the white little bit on the end. It's like he's sniffing something. You just see his face lift up, smelling around. Maybe there is something here. Maybe he heard something. At his age, we haven't seen him take down too many impalas before. But it does happen every now and then. He still goes for smaller things, often ground birds, monitor lizards, even every now and then a scrub hare, if you manage to catch those. Although, let me tell you a little bit about the Makati male. I mentioned him this morning, and lo and behold, they managed to find him. So Makati in Shangaan, again the local dialect in this area, means vulture. So he took it upon himself to nearly kill out all the vulture chicks in this area. We are now on the eastern side of the reserve, very close to the Timavati River. So he nearly killed out every vulture chick in this area by himself. Well, look at his posture. He's trying to keep down low. I think he's maybe just trying to find whatever he heard a little bit earlier. So Makati, meaning vulture, at the age of 5 months was the first time I saw this. So he was 5 months old, and he climbed a tree. He went right up to the very top into a vulture's nest, ate the chick, and then continued to fall asleep in the vulture's nest. Much to our entertainment, as you can imagine, it's a wonderful sight seeing a leopard lie down, and you could just see the tiny 4 paws hanging down from each side of the vulture's nest. Oh, he managed to sneak away from us a little bit in the long grass. Let's see if we can find him. Okay, so while we try find this leopard again, I think it just went into thicker vegetation here. I'm going to send you back to Lauren. She is now at the hyena den.
Thanks, Rowan. Well done on finding a leopard. I didn't have that much luck, but I am back at the hyena den. And there's 2. We have Ribbon, the matriarch, panting quite heavily. Yes, her tummy is very full. She is the new mother. She's the queen of the clan, but she never used to be. I'm going to tell you her story in just a moment. And we have another youngster who has very muddy legs, that's for sure, but I can't quite. We identify the hyenas by their spot pattern on the side of their body. Or, in the case of Ribbon, I'm sure Owen can show you, she has a really sort of unusual ear. Her left ear, we call it butterfly shaped. It's got that notch in the middle. It's an easy way to identify Ribbon, but not all hyenas will have this, of course, so we normally use the spot patterns. And we know every single individual belonging to the Juma clan, from the highest ranker to the lowest ranker, and the males as well. So the most interesting story about Ribbon is she actually used to be the lowest ranking hyena on this proverbial ladder, if you like. And she was much smaller. She was, yes, let's just say bullied. She didn't have it easy. She didn't get access to the food. She had to wait. The other females were not so nice to her. And she decided one day that she'd had enough. She was going to challenge the status quo, mix it up, and she conducted a matriarchal takeover. This hyena that you are now looking at is now the matriarch. That's incredible stuff. Stuff that's not really so well documented. It happened in the Masai Mara, and we managed to document it happening here, and it's absolutely incredible. She went from being the lowest ranking hyena of the clan, and she's now right at the top. Everyone comes under her, and they must act submissive towards her. So the fact that she's got new cubs now is also an incredible dynamic. Who will be in charge or out of the cubs, we don't know. They will also fight for dominance, and we actually witnessed that. They were 1 day old, and they were already fighting for dominance. So the reason we're here is to hope that we can see the cubs again, and of course see some more interactions within the clan members. Really wish I could see who this youngster is. Definitely a young one. Orion, how big is a clan of hyenas? That's a great question, because generally when you talk about prides of lions or herds of elephants or wild dog packs, they normally split. I think Rowan was talking about the breakaway pride earlier, because normally when there's too many mouths to feed, too many cubs, too many adults, it's not sustainable. So they normally split. However, with hyenas, that doesn't seem to be the case. Juma clan is very, very small. It doesn't go above 20, even with the new additions. But the North clan in the Masai Mara, for example, is over 90 strong now. 90! Can you believe that? So with hyenas, it's slightly different. They don't tend to split or have breakaway clans or clan number 2. They just keep growing and growing and growing. And it's incredible, that clan in the Masai Mara. The Juma clan is small, but they all know one another. They're very, very familiar with one another. And it's really all about the females. The males, well, they've got to do what they're told. Let's say they've got to keep the ladies happy. So I'm going to sit tight here and hope that we get a view of these little cubbies soon. And while I do that, we are going to send you back across to Rowan and his spotted cat.
Okay, so we managed to find the Makati male again. And as you can see, he's slowly walking into denser vegetation, but very softly. It's actually quite interesting to watch his paws as he walks like that. So he's trying to place his back paw exactly where his front paw lifts up, so as to make less sound. Also, the direction he's moving in, he's moving exactly into the wind. And this is what I said earlier about them trying to hunt, is that they'll actually go into the wind so that their scent is not pushed in front of them, but it's actually pushed behind them. So whatever they're trying to hunt won't be able to smell them. So I can just still see a few of his spots. He's now standing still, again, just listening for whatever he heard a little bit later. Okay, now lost the end of his tail. We're going to try go around again to see if we can find him on the other side. Gets very, very thick in here. Actually perfect habitat for leopard. Marcel, mind your head every now and then, please. I'm going to try maneuver our way through this without crushing too many trees. Certain species of trees here are protected and very slow growing, especially things like jackalberries, leadwoods, brown ivory. So we're trying to avoid those as much as possible while we try to find this leopard again. So a great way to learn how to multitask is come be a guide. Okay, so while I avoid all the precious trees here, we're going to send you back over to James, who's still looking for a leopard. Back to Juma.
I am. I went for a little walk and I flushed something, but I'm afraid I didn't manage to see what it was. And in this thick bush, it could be anything, but I don't think it was a leopard because it made too much noise as it ran. So we are just sort of circling back round towards the waterhole again. But I'm afraid there is no leopard on this side at this stage. But at least you've seen one leopard so far. Pretty good. We'll spend a little bit more time in this area and then probably go and check somewhere else and see what else we can see. As you can see, it's been a very rainy year, and so the bush is very thick. Yes. Hello, Seamus. You're in Johannesburg and saying that it's so cool to be on a game drive at the end of the day while you're living in Johannesburg. Yes, I couldn't agree more. I've spent a lot of time in Johannesburg, and at the end of the day, there's nothing more that you want than a game drive. Here we are at the waterhole again. And it doesn't appear to be a great swarm of leopards in the immediate vicinity. So I think what we'll do is head off and check another area while you go back to Lauren, who is with the hyenas.
The hyenas haven't moved much, I must say. But we are sitting on the edge of our seats, well, literally, waiting for these little cubs to come out. This will be Ribbon's third litter. And she has one surviving daughter. And her name is Intima, and she's 3 years old. The next litter Ribbon had, nobody survived. And this is litter number 3. So it's very exciting for us to think that there's going to be little cubs running around this termite mountain soon, causing all sorts of trouble. But right now they're so small that they're tucked away inside. Behind Ribbon's ginormous belly, there's a hole there. And that's where the cubs are tucked inside. It's a small hole. Ribbon wouldn't be able to fit in there, especially with that tummy. But the cubs do. And I imagine because of the weather today and the temperatures, the cubs are going to come out soon to suckle. And that's essentially what we're waiting for. Hyenas have a terrible reputation, terrible, but really they're the most incredible animals out here. They're very intelligent, very social, And of course, here in Juma, they just follow the predators around. They know how to get food. When you see a leopard, you can be absolutely sure there will be a hyena not too far away. Samantha, fantastic question. So hyenas are grouped in their own family called Hyenidae. And of course, this is in the order Carnivora. They're all carnivores. And there's 4 different types of hyena in this family. You have the spotted hyena, which is what you're looking at right now because of the spots, in case you didn't get that. The striped hyena, the brown hyena, and the aardwolf. So these 4 species are all part of the family Hyenidae. But the spotted hyenas are the only ones that we actually find in this area. I'd love to see the others, but sadly we don't get them here. And spotted are said to be the largest as well, the most social. And they really rely on each other in the clan. Although they fight and they must act submissive to this girl here, they all do rely on the clan members for protection and, of course, for finding food. Hyenas struggle to know when to stop eating. I have to say I'm sometimes like that too. But they gorge themselves. They eat and eat and eat until the stomach can literally hold no more. And then, of course, well, they can rest for a few days. It's feast or famine for most of the predators out here. All or nothing. Sharon, of course I will. Of course I will. Sharon's asking me to please stay here, be very patient and wait for the cubbies. Absolutely, Sharon. I will. And that's what nature is all about. Of course, this is live from 2 different areas, and we're in Djuma Game Reserve. And of course, we have Ngala and Beyond joining us as well, which is great news and is all live. So you can't predict what's going to happen. And sometimes you need a lot of patience, especially when you're at a den site with a new mother who is resting and digesting. She's got a lot of digesting to do, I think. And of course, we're waiting for these little cubbies to pop out. So yes, Sharon, I will. Davy and I managed to get really lucky, really lucky, and we got to see the 2 brand new cubs at 2 days old, which has really not been recorded in the wild before, only in captivity. So yes, we will wait. And patience is definitely required. So as I sit here hoping to see the bundles of joy, it seems like James has an antelope for you.
I do. I have a Nyala. And the Nyala is in his ideal habitat, which is thick bush. You can see almost invisible. Now, there's a big difference between camouflage and hiding. And if you really want to know the difference, I made a video about it once, which you will find on my Instagram profile. But I often hear people say, well, look how camouflaged it is, when in actual fact it's not camouflaged, it's behind such thick bush that you could hide a pink elephant behind whatever that thing is that you're talking about is standing behind. And so, while this animal is unquestionably well coloured for the environment in which it lives, it is currently doing a mixture between hiding and camouflage. Those white chevrons on the face and around the nose are most certainly not camouflaged, and in fact they really do stick out. They're extremely shiny. And if we zoom out quickly, Dav, you can still see those white chevrons quite clearly when the animal almost disappears. There we go. Isn't that cool? Alright, Rowan's caught up with his leopard, so we're going to go back across to him as he follows the Makati young male.
Okay, so we're trying our best as much as possible to try keep up with this leopard. Very elusive, very secretive animal, and he seems to be on the hunt. So I don't know whether he's smelling something or whether he heard something a little bit earlier, but we are following him. So far we've had no sign of impalas or vultures, or sorry, kudus or any other sign of an antelope in this area. Let me just try and maneuver like that so Marcel can get a better view. He's almost walking in circles as well. So now he's heading back straight the way he came from. See how easy it is to lose these cats in the long grass. But don't worry, so far we've done a stellar job keeping up with him. So we'll just keep doing that. Reverse a little bit. Yeah, he's going straight the way we came from. Mind you. So Linda has asked who the dominant female leopard is in this area. Linda, that would be the Nyala female. She's funny enough, this is her younger brother. So he came from a litter. Hey Marcel, let me know if you have a good view. I'm just trying to get around these bushes. He's from a litter 3 years after her. Oh. Keeps going. But yeah, Nyala female, spelled Nyala. She's got one youngster at the moment, which is nearly about a year old. Oh, you can see the paw in the air like that, almost not wanting to put it down, not wanting to make too much noise. Oh, it sounds like he spooked something there. You could just see the change of pace. Oh, can also hear, I don't know if you heard it, almost sound like a gunshot. Maybe a bushbuck alarm calling. Yeah, you could hear it again. There we go. And now what he does is he moves out of the area to get away from the bushbuck alarm calling, because this bushbuck is giving away his presence. Let us try and squeeze through here. It looked like he was turning to the right. See what I mean? How thickly overgrown this is. Whew. This is a bit of off-roading if we ever did some. It gets really rough here. We're going to try keep up with him for a little while. If I can't find him in the next 2 minutes or so, I might leave him because he's so determinedly on the hunt. For now, while we look for him again, we're going to send you back to Juma, to Lauren, who is at the hyena den.
Good luck, Rowan. Summer brings its challenges here with the vegetation. In the low veld, at least, you won't believe what it's like in winter. It's cold, it's chilly. It's bright, the sun is out, but the vegetation is completely different and it's not thick, so it makes it very easy to bash after animals, as Rowan is trying to do right now. So no movement from our lazy hyenas. They're actually not lazy, they're nocturnal. So what that means is they're primarily active at night. So they walk great distances at night times, and hyenas, believe it or not, are one of the most difficult animals to track, because they just walk and walk and walk, and they never walk in a straight line. They weave, they zigzag, they turn back on themselves. And why they do that is because they're following their nose. They're trying to pick up on any scent. They have great nostrils, and they're trying to pick up on anything delicious. So they'll follow their nose rather than follow roads. And therefore they walk all night, hoping to either hunt or scavenge. A lot of people think hyenas are just scavengers. That's not true. They do scavenge, yes. But why not? It's easy. Lions scavenge, leopards scavenge, hyenas scavenge. The main predators that don't really scavenge are wild dogs and cheetah. But if the opportunity presented itself, they absolutely would. But somehow hyenas get this terrible, terrible reputation from it. I wonder if it was Disney, the Lion King, or way further back than that. Youngster Pro, great to have you on board with us. You're asking about the lifespan of a hyena. Generally speaking, the figure is said to be around 20 years old for a hyena. So, of course, this will differ in different areas. If you think of Juma, our little game reserve, and compared to the Masai Mara up in Kenya, is completely different. So I imagine the sort of lifespan between the hyenas here and the hyenas up there will actually be different. Now, this is not including captivity, because of course captivity is completely different from the natural world. But hyenas are said to live up to anywhere between, well, 15 to 20 years, so they can get very old. Ribbon here is in her prime. She's 7 years old. So she's fit, she's healthy, she's ginormous. She's in a very good position. Females are much bigger than males. I'm actually hoping a male comes to visit so we get to see him, and you'll be shocked at how much bigger the females are than males. And that's of course because the females are the most dominant. They're the important ones. The males, not so much. Ashley, yes, they do. Great question. So there'll be different clans for different areas. And of course, the Juma clan is named after our game reserve, Juma. And their territory mainly consists of our game reserve. They go a little bit north, a little bit south, and east and west. But essentially, our game reserve is the core area of this clan's territory. And I would say their sort of rival clan is the Elephant Plains clan. We see sort of individuals from this clan quite often, and it's definitely the rival clan. Clans will have standoffs, they will have battles, and it can be aggressive if needs be. Generally speaking, for that to happen, it would be over food. So let's just say there was a carcass, a buffalo carcass, on the middle of the property. Normally, both clans would fight over that. But yes, they do have rivals, and I would say the rivals for the Juma clan is the Elephant Plains clan. Okay, so let's hope as it gets cooler and darker, more movement stirs at the den. And while we wait, once again, we're going to send you across to James, who has a bird in a tree.
We do have a bird, and this bird is vexing me somewhat. Because I can't tell for 100% what it is, and that's mainly because its head is behind a stick, and so I cannot see its eye or the shape of its head. Those were quillas who went speeding by there. I think it's not an eagle. You can see it's not feathered down to the base of its legs. I'm pretty sure it's a brown snake eagle. As it turns round like that, I'm becoming more and more convinced it's a brown snake eagle. But when you see a brown bird like that in this area with no feathers on its legs, it's almost certainly a brown snake eagle. Unless you've got some very odd visitor from somewhere, which I don't think we have, having seen it turn its head like that. So we'll go with brown snake eagle in the distance. You'll find the bird lists between here and andBeyond and Ngala are nigh on identical, but for a number of specials that you'll find on the Timbavati River, they also have slightly different habitat types, so you probably find a slightly bigger bird list up there than down here, but otherwise the species list will be almost identical. Good. We will continue along this road. Thank you very much, Challenge Time. You say you're most impressed, and you say you think we know what we're doing. Well, that's good. Thank you very much indeed. We like to think we sort of know what we're doing, now and again. There's another nice bird, given that I'm unable to find any mammals. Thank you, Bag Cat. You agree with me that it was a brown snake eagle. There was an arrow-marked babbler up there, but unfortunately it has absconded. There are a few further to the left, David. If you would kindly bring your camera to bear on the bushes to the left of us, hopefully we will put an arrow-marked babbler on the camera. But they are not the most confiding of birds. Kyla, you're wondering what brown snake eagles eat. Well, brown snakes when they can, there's the babbler on the stump. Well done, David. That's a slightly facetious answer, Kyla. They do eat snakes. It's a largely reptile-based diet. They don't have to be brown, though. They're not fussy. They'll happily eat green ones or yellow ones. But snakes are their speciality, and they've got special thick scales on their legs to help them deal with potential bites from snakes. They also eat monitor lizards and other kinds of lizards. So that's the arrow-marked babbler, and they live in a little flock. And the best part about arrow-marked babblers, especially as we go into winter, is that they are host to the striped cuckoo, or the Lavalliance cuckoo, as it's now called. And what you find is that sometimes, if the cuckoo has bred late, it lives with its babbler hosts for the duration of winter. Most cuckoos go north and migrate in their first season, but some Lavalliance cuckoos remain behind for the winter, and they stay with their babbler flock, and it looks extremely odd to come in the winter because the cuckoo's about twice the size of the babbler, and he still thinks he's a babbler until that's the next summer, at which point he suddenly decides that he isn't, which is amazing. Let's go back to Lauren. She is still with the hyenas.
Yes, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here and hoping for, well, something more than snoozing to happen. But I mentioned earlier about the horrendous reputation that hyenas have. Let me get this right. So Hemingway, way back in the day of Hemingway, said the hyena, hermaphroditic, self-eating devourer of the dead, potential biter off your face at night while you slept. Yes, that is a quote from Hemingway a long time ago, and of course it makes hyenas sound absolutely awful. And I think the negative connotations regarding these animals has filtered down until today, including The Lion King, including many other. They appear in poetry, in movies, and they're never portrayed as social, intelligent, cute animals. I don't know if you all agree, and you're welcome to disagree with me, but I think they're gorgeous. They're very dog-like behaviorally and morphologically. So when you see them a little bit more active than this, I promise you they get more active than this. They're very dog-like. They appear quite dog-like with their sort of facial structure, their ears, their body design, and their paws. However, they're really not closely related to dogs at all, or the Canidae family. If you had to compare between dogs and cats, they're slightly more related to cats in the sort of taxonomic structure. However, the closest relative to the hyena is the mongoose in the order Carnivora. Can you believe that? Tiny little mongoose. If I see one, we'll try and show one for you. But that's the hyena's closest relative. But they do behave and look like dogs to me. I don't know if you'll all agree, but that's how I feel when I look at hyenas. And straight away, if you were to look at Ribbon, despite her full belly, Owen will give you a little look at her nipples. And as bizarre as that sounds, straight away when you look at a female hyena and you see nipples like that, you can tell that she's lactating. So even if we didn't actually know that Ribbon had the cubs, just by looking at her body, we would know that she's lactating. But she's keeping these cubbies very much stashed away in this termite mound. Monique in London. Hi, I hope London's weather is treating you well. I'm sure it's not. And you're asking about Corky. So just to give you all some context, Corky was actually the matriarch when I first arrived here in Juma. She was a great matriarch. I loved Corky. She wasn't the best looking of gals I've ever seen, but she was great. And Ribbon here overthrew her. So threw her off the throne. Corky was at the top. Ribbon was at the very bottom, and it was actually Corky that Ribbon threw off and got to the top. Now, Corks had bad injuries. It was a battle. It's not pleasant when hyenas fight, and they really, really do injure each other. And Corky sustained quite a lot of injuries, and it was most likely from Ribbon and her gang, I'm afraid. So Corky is live, and she's well. She's still the matriarch. No, she's not the matriarch, sorry. And she's now probably one of the lowest ranking individuals, and we can't decide exactly where on the hierarchy she is because we haven't seen them interact. But yes, Corky's around. She was seen not too long ago, and she was seen with Ribbon. And what that means is that she's recovered, and she's now realised she's not at the top, she's not the boss anymore, and she will probably have to act very submissively to Ribbon here. I've not personally witnessed it yet. I'm really looking forward to that interaction, but I am more than sure that she will have to act very, very submissively, and therefore Ribbon will accept her. So Monique in London, do not worry, Corks is fine. The individual that's sadly not fine was, I think, is Pretty. Pretty was second in charge, and I think we've lost her. Pretty was actually very pretty. It was a good name, but I think she's gone. We don't quite know what happened, but I think she's left us. Dylan, you're asking how many hyenas are left in Ribbon's clan. Okay, Ribbon's clan, I love that. We'll start with the females. So as I just mentioned, I really feel we've lost Pretty. She's gone. If she does appear one day, we will all be very surprised to see for sure. So then Ribbon's daughter Intima, I believe, is second. And then we have Heart. Those three are very, very close, and I think they are the top ranking hyenas. Then, of course, we have June and Corky, and I really don't know where they sit. I can't figure it out yet because I've not witnessed enough interactions. So essentially, there's 5 adult females now. Ribbon, Intima, Heart, June, and Corky. And hopefully over time we'll get to introduce them to you all. And then, of course, we have 2 new additions that are stashed inside that termite mound. We have Sutu and Swana. Hopefully, we don't quite know if Swana's still around or not. We don't know if we've lost her. And Swazi and Indibelli. That's all the cubs. So that's the adults and the cubs that we've gone through. And maybe when you come back to us next, we can go through the males. It's always interesting when you talk about the males. So as I sit and wait for any movement that's not sleeping, we are going to send you back across to Ngala and beyond with Rowan with the lions.
Yeah, welcome back to Ngala. So we are back with the Birmingham Pride, and I think our timing is almost perfect. You can see the little white lioness. She is lifting her head. Also just looking at some of the adults, what they are doing. Some of the females have started yawning and grooming themselves, and also, as well as some of the youngsters. So I think give it a bit of time, and actually that one female to the left and the back, she's going to get up rather soon. The one scratching her face at this moment. You can also see another one of the youngsters licking its side. Long tongue trying to reach all the dirty edges. So cleaning off the remains of all the blood from whatever they ate earlier. Of course, we don't know what they ate, but yeah, just trying to clean themselves. You can see that mother, the older lioness, it looks like she's cleaning one of the youngsters again now. It's where the grooming part of it starts. Very, very social behavior between all of them. There we go. That one. Oh, another. See, they're stretching their mouths. Nearly got a yawn out of her. See, the youngster's arm is now over her neck, just asking to be groomed underneath the chin. There we go. Tabitha just commented that she thinks the lions are absolutely beautiful. Tabitha, I agree with you 100%. It is actually such an honor and privilege to have been able to watch this pride grow. Earlier I was telling you about the sub-adult, the young male He's on the other side. The first time I saw him, he was nearly 6 weeks old. Tiny, and it has just been such a phenomenal experience seeing this pride grow up. All of these youngsters, some of them didn't make it. It's only about 50% of lions that ever make it to above a year of lion cubs. But yeah, just so happy that these have survived so far. About another maybe half a month, and the two smallest ones here in front would be a year old as well. See that one now cleaning one of the older lionesses. It's called allo grooming, and it definitely strengthens that social bond between them. Of course, there has to be a lot of trust in a lion pride. They all hunt together. I was saying that I think I do need to mention that none of these youngsters are hunting just yet. So we've got a question from DDJJ asking who the leader of this pride is. So DDJJ, there is 2 lionesses here that are just over 14 years old, and we just call them the lead lionesses. They would be the 2 leaders. They are often the ones, if they start walking, one of them starts walking, the whole of the pride will start following. They just know it's time to move when these big old mamas start moving. Actually quite amazing for lionesses to be this age, and they look absolutely extraordinary. These 2 big lionesses, the 14-year-olds, I hope that they get to stand up. And I hope we get to see them, because the shoulders, the chest, the muscles that they've developed is just absolutely enormous. So we have such high expectations for these youngsters. Oh, big yawn. For these youngsters, because they have just the most incredibly big mothers I've ever come across. So she's sniffing the air, nose in the wind like that. Di just asked a question: how many of the tawny lions carry the recessive white gene? Di, I'll be honest, I don't think there is any way of us knowing. So we don't know whether the pregnant young female, whether she has the white gene with her. Yeah, so to make a white lion, for one to be born, both the mom and dad needs to have that recessive gene, and sometimes it's carried over into the youngsters. So I just want to point out this lioness there on the side scratching her back now. So she has almost a very characteristic marking. Just underneath her right eye there's a black dot. So she is the mother of the larger white lion of the young male. So Di, to be perfectly honest, to come back to your question, I don't see how there's any way of us knowing how many of these tawny lions carry the recessive white gene. But I can tell you not a lot, just because they are so rare to see. It's nice to watch some action as they slowly start waking up. So it might just be that that female might get up soon, and she'll walk just a little bit away from the pride, if I can imagine anything. Maybe urinate and then come and lie down with the pride again. It still twitches of the ears, being irritated by flies. Okay, so while we wait for actually one of these lionesses, or maybe even the entire pride, to wake up, we're going to send you back to Lauren, who is sitting with equally lazy hyenas.
I am also waiting for action, that's for sure. It will happen. Patience is the key. Slightly concerned about the weather too. The clouds are, well, I don't know what tonight is going to bring, but it's definitely getting chillier. I'm going to put my jacket on soon, I think. I am from Scotland. I should be stronger than this, but I'm not. I don't like to be cold. However, the hyenas will love to be cold. This is cooling and refreshing for them. If you imagine being a mammal covered in hair, it's probably not too pleasant when the sun, well, the African sun especially, reaches these hot temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're probably relishing this weather. And the fact that they, well, at least Ribbon has this huge tummy. I think if I took a sewing needle, I might be able to pop that tummy. That's probably uncomfortable, so it's much better for her to be cooler than it is to be, well, in the blazing hot sunshine. Now, I think we'll lose than normal tonight because of the cloud cover that Owen just showed you, and therefore as soon as it starts to get dark we will leave. We do stay at hyena dens in the dark once cubs get a little bit older, but at this present time they're far too young. They're really, really young. We're able to pinpoint the birth by a day or two, and they're only a handful of days old. And it's not fair for vehicles or lights to be around. And we don't use any artificial lights on the animals. We have an amazing tool called the infrared light, this ginormous thing that sits on the camera, and it allows us to see the animals in the dark without shining any sort of artificial lights on them. It's incredible. But still, the cubs are too young, I think. So once it gets dark, we will leave. If Ribbon ever decides to wake up. Robs. I can almost hear her snoring from here. Kian, hi. Welcome on board. Oh, Ribbon actually opened her eyes for you. That's her way of saying welcome. Believe it or not, hyenas really do hunt. They just don't get recognized for it. And the statistics for the sort of Kruger National Park, especially this area, for hyenas, spotted hyenas, is 50% hunting and 50% scavenging. So they will scavenge, absolutely. And it's actually a smart move. Why waste all your energy hunting and running and trying to kill something and failing and trying again? That's going to eat up a lot of your energy budget when you can easily just steal some food from a leopard that's already made the kill. It's actually a very intelligent move. So they're said to hunt 50% here and, of course, 50% scavenge, whereas up in the Masai Mara, the hyenas up there are said to hunt anywhere between 80 to 90% and the remainder scavenge. It's completely different environments, of course, but with Ribbon's full belly like this, she really wouldn't have to eat for another 2 to 3 days. She will, I assure you she will, but she really doesn't have to. And again, it goes back to what I was saying about feast and famine. A lot of predators here will absolutely gorge themselves until they're full, and then they don't need to feed for another little while. So it depends what she's got in her tummy. I have no idea. It could be anything. Hyenas eat everything, and they're not called bone crushers for no reason. They really do crunch through bones. Most predators don't, but hyenas do. They feast on every little part of their prey. They normally ignore horns and hooves, but other than that, the hyenas will absolutely finish off the prey, bones and all. So who knows what's in that tummy, but she's definitely full. I'm actually just having a look around to see if I can find some hyena scat. And that, yes, that is hyena poo, which doesn't sound so pleasant, but the reason I'm looking is because hyena scat is really, really easy to identify. It's pure white. When it dries in the sun, not when it comes out the bottom, it turns pure white. And it's very, very unusual to look at, and that is due to the high calcium content. They eat so much bone that they end up getting so much calcium in their diet, in their sort of bodies, that it's actually too much. And it ends up coming out the other end, and it makes their poo turn white. And it's fascinating to look at, but sadly I don't see any. But I shall have a look, and if we spot some, we shall show you. So hopefully our lazy duo are going to wake up soon. And I'm not the only one with lazy animals. It seems like the lions are also snoozing.
So we've got one of the youngest youngsters, the tawny one. She's yawning quite a bit, and maybe she'll give us another yawn soon. So I'm fairly certain she'll actually also get up in a little bit. Some of the other youngsters are starting to groom each other's. All the females have gone back to sleep. The young male's not moved a muscle since we've been here. So we've just changed our position a slight little bit. I'm just waiting to see if these youngsters do wake up. So in this pride of the youngsters, there are 8 youngsters here in total. 3 of them are males, and then 5 of them are little females. It's actually quite good news for the older white one, the young male, because once he gets kicked out of the pride and does form a coalition, he'll be joined by his brother. They'll all be kicked out together. So he'll always have 2 more with him in his coalition. Actually see the bit of pink on his face and shoulders and legs from whatever they ate earlier. Oh, it looks like he's going to roll around. There we go. Nice, a little bit cooler on that side. Just see the ears still flicking. You could see the fly actually flying out of there. Must be quite tough not having any hands. Big yawn from the tiny one. I mean, how's that? An animal not even a year old. And did you see the sharpness of those teeth? What she might do is lick her paw a little bit and then scrub her face like that. For those of you that have cats at home, you'll see they almost do exactly the same. It's just a way for them to scrub and clean their face. It's got a comment saying cute little teeth. I'm sure those cute little teeth, if you want to play with it, will take your finger off. So I just got a question from Boo asking whether we often see the big males with the pride. Boo, we do quite often. I'd say if they do come around with the pride, they'll be around here for maybe 4 or 5 days and then move off again. For male, it's quite an important job to show its presence throughout the entire, or his entire territory. They need to show their presence because otherwise they might be ousted from that territory by other males. So they'll stick around here for 3, 4, 5 days maximum and then go into other parts of their territories where they'll start roaring and urine spraying and just scent marking wherever they can, just to show that they are still territorial in that area. So yes, every now and then, and quite often, but not for too long. It's a big job being a territorial male lion in the wild. Such a cute little face every now and then when it looks up. You can see the black tips on the ears. Those are often known as follow me signs. Just got a question from Relic asking how do we protect the white lions that are on our reserve. So Relic, I'll be honest, we don't really do too much. I mean, if we zoom out a little bit, just look at the number of lions we have in front of us. I think that would offer absolutely enough protection for the little white lions. Especially these mothers are huge. The lionesses in this pride are massive and ferocious. I will not try steal one of these white lions from them. It's a long grooming session for this youngster. Just had a deep sigh from Marcel. We've been waiting the whole afternoon for at least one of them to stand up. So for those of you that only joined in a little bit later, we ended up leaving the lodge at about 2:20, going into the last area where Yapi and Nikki found them this morning. And we were so excited to get there and see the lions that when we got there, they weren't there anymore. And it's mostly because of the weather. It's a nice cool day, clouded over, nice old breeze going. But then I could just see the little bit of disappointment in Marcel's face, and I could definitely feel it as well. Luckily, we saw their tracks going south, and with the breeze, with the wind coming from a southeasterly direction, we just thought, they would probably most likely walk southeast. So we drove around a little bit, checked a watering hole, and then took the one road that heads straight east. And it's on this road we saw on the left the entire pride just lying right down exactly the way they are now. So while they sleep it off a little while and we wait for this tiny lioness to wake up and stand up, there's a beautiful shot of her face. She might have heard something in this direction. We're going to send you over to Juma, back to James, who just arrived at a watering hole.
We've arrived at the waterhole just in front of the camp. Oh, there it is. This hippopotamus is quite unusual, in so much as it seems to be playing with a stick. Now, I've never seen a hippopotamus play with a stick before. Let's just watch that patch of water. And there's something else we're going to show you here as well, but I'm just going to let that situation calm slightly. And we're going to wait and see if the hippopotamus does have his stick. Do you have your stick? Yes, you do. There you are, playing with his stick. Can you believe it? Never seen that before. That's really cool. Let's wait for him to come out again. Show us his stick. There it is. I wonder if he's just bored. I think animals do get bored, especially the younger ones. And I think this is a young bull. Apparently, those of you who watch the dam cam here at Juma regularly say that this hippopotamus is known for his stick-playing propensities. You can see he's standing. It looks like it's quite deep there, but actually it isn't. So you find this with just about all young mammals, and I find it young male mammals. I find it fascinating because human biology fascinates me as much as the wild animal biology does, and I find the comparisons between humans and wild animals equally fascinating. And here we have a young bull hippopotamus, and he shows a propensity to playing with sticks. Now, no one's ever taught him to do that. That's what he does. Now, you find the same thing with young bull elephants. They are much more playful than their female counterparts. The females become much more serious within the herd and start taking an active role in the social society of the herd far before the males do, or the males actually never do, really, in elephant society. But the males remain much more distracted by things like us and sticks for far longer than the females do, and I just find that really interesting. That they are made up so differently. And then when you consider our own biology and the biology of boys and girls and the hormones and various bits and pieces that make us up, I find it very interesting when you look at young human beings and see similar traits, similar characteristics, and often very different characteristics. And it's always quite fun to compare them, I think. just having the best time with this stick there. Now in front of us here, let's just let him do one more thing. And then we're going to show you a very special little bird. And I think if we wait here long enough, our little bird sighting will become that much more special. Young hippo bulls live alone most of the time. Older hippo bulls will live, hopefully for them, with a harem of females. So they'll dominate a little pod. And while they might sort of spend time away from the pod in the same water body or the same river, they they will not live alone. No, it's the young male mammals often end up on their own before they're able to either take a territory or join a herd, or in an elephant's case, it might join up with other male elephants, but quite often it will just always live alone. Often young male mammals will form bachelor groups until they're old enough to mate. That is just brilliant stuff. Now, David, come down over here. We've got a little grebe. And this little grebe, we disturbed off its nest as we arrived here, and it's now slowly coming closer to its nest. Here it comes. It's a beautiful bird. And it's got a nest just in front of it now. There it is, and you can see two little white eggies in that nest. Yes, but we can see them, David. And here comes the other parent as well. And I think if we sit here quietly for long... Oh, this is wonderful. Look at this. This is just magic. Here comes the other parent as well. Oh, look. There's the other parent. And little chaps. Just doing a little bit of housekeeping there. Isn't that cool? Well, I just want to read to you about how they've created that nest. These things are so cute. So the nest is described as a floating heap of plant material. Well, yes, we can see that. So it's usually anchored to vegetation such as a branch of a submerged bush, stems of sedges or dead trees. So there's something underneath it, or flotsam. I don't know if it's attached maybe to this buffalo thorn tree. Now we've done a bit of housekeeping and off we go. And the structure's raised slightly, so it's about 50 to 100 millimeters off the surface of the water. And material is added by both sexes throughout incubation. Now, the incubation period is only about 19 days. I'm just reading from my app. Shax, you're wondering about if it's risky or not. I think it's less risky than a lot of places for a bird's nest to be, because there are very few things that would swim out to try and grab it. I suppose monitor lizards would be a definite threat. But otherwise, things like mongoose are unlikely to try and get at the egg. So as far as safety goes, it's not too bad, I don't think. So only 19 days. One bunch that they've looked at did 28 days, so the incubation period is quite variable. That is a very spectacular sighting. I'm so glad we've seen that, and hopefully if we watch carefully and we are quiet and I suppose gentle around this nest, we might actually be able to see them incubated and then eventually hatch. Good, let's go over to Lauren. The hyenas are still very sleepy, but darkness is falling.
That sounded fantastic, James. I'm a little bit jealous there. Poor Hippo and his little stick. Owen and I, well, let's just say Ribbon has gas. Yes. She's embarrassed. Yes. Something is causing her to have an upset tummy, and Owen and I are receiving it, and it's not so delightful. That's all I shall say on that matter. Now, I think this is Sutu, the young little cub. You can see she's young. She's female. It's very difficult to tell the difference between male and females in hyenas. I'll explain why. But I think this is Sutu, and Sutu is a female called June's daughter. So she's still quite young. You can see she's really still quite fluffy, and she's very small in size. I'm sure you can possibly see that from here, but she's not large at all. And if I'm correct, and well, it is Sutu. She was just born last year, so she's still a young one. She's not an adult. She's not sexually mature yet. She's got a lot of developing to go. And you can see that Ribbon, the matriarch, fully trusts her. This is a natal den. It's not classified as a communal den just yet. It's a natal den where the cubs are being stashed, and Ribbon obviously very, very much trusts this young one to be around her and her cubs during this time. Now, what I mean by it's difficult to tell the difference between male and female. Females are larger. However, females have a pseudo-penis. Yes, it looks just like a penis. However, it's not. It doesn't function as one. There's no sperm production and just no sort of the same hormones that males have, if you like. But it looks the same unless you're able to get a very close look, which sometimes we can with the camera. The males have a slightly triangular tip at the end, the females do not. But other than that, their genitals look very, very similar. And it's bizarre, and it led to the theory that, well, for many, many years, scientists, people in general have thought hyenas were hermaphrodites. They're not. They're not at all. They're separate sexes, male and female, but their genitals just look... Hello, Sutu. I'm sure that's you. I'm starting to get a little bit mobile now. Well, at least one is. Females also have what can only be described to look like a scrotum, and it's not. They call it a pseudoscrotum. It's actually sort of fatty pads that make an outer labia, if you like, that is fused together. So when you look at a female, it will look like it has a penis and a scrotum. It does not. Pseudoscrotum, pseudopenis. It's very bizarre and slightly difficult to get your head around. I'm not trying to be vulgar. It's a huge, well, it's one of the most important factors about hyenas and how they have developed this and how they have able sort of to develop this social structure where females are more dominant. They are the ones in charge. And the fact that they have male-looking genitals assists in that. But yes, it does sound really, really bizarre at first, but you get used to it after a while. And what this essentially means is that the females are in control. They cannot be forced to mate when they don't want to. No, it's the female's choice. She decides it's my turn to mate, and she will summon the male. So all the control is with females like Ribbon here. And having genitals like that essentially allows for that control. And it's fascinating. And when we do eventually see these cubbies, it'll take a while before we're able to sex them, before we're really able to get a good look at them and decide which one is male and which one is female. Avril, you're asking about natal den. So natal normally refers to birth. And there, She's being very dramatic now. Yes, Ribbon. You smell terrible. So, Avril, a natal den is normally where the mother will stash the cubs for a short time, anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks, essentially, depending on the clan dynamics. Once she feels the cubs are strong enough, they're a lot more mobile. They've had a lot of milk, so they're big and they're strong, and they're ready to meet the entire clan, including the males. Then she will move. Hello, girl. Oh, what did you eat? Are you going to get your cubbies? Or are you just teasing us? What is she doing? So yes, once the cubs are able to be introduced to the rest of the clan, they then move to a communal den, and that's what it's called. A communal den where everyone can visit, the males, the females, the higher rankers, the lower rankers. Oh, dearie me, that smell is awful. It's always a joy coming to a hyena den, that's for sure. So essentially, Avril, as I pinch my nose here, a natal den is just a den that they use for a short time when the cubs are first born to keep them separated from the rest of the clan for safety. Okay, let's just see what she does here. Normally, mothers will poke their heads into the hole to call out the cubs. She'll make a vocalization that says, "Come on, cubbies, it's time to suckle." But for some reason, I feel that's not happening right now. So I would say that Ribbon is half awake. We may get more movement before it gets too dark. I hope so. And we are going to send you back across to Rowan, as it appears his lions are far more awake than our Ribbon is.
So there's a little bit more action here now. The one lioness actually did get up and she moved to one of the lead lionesses, which should be her mother. The young male's busy grooming himself. You can see the lioness in the back there, she's yawning. None of the youngsters are waking up yet, which is quite funny and odd. They're usually the first to get bored and wake up. See this lioness, she's up now. She's definitely sniffing something in the air, and see how it sparks the attention of the whole pride. One moves and it is time to go. Look at the size of this young male. He is basically nearly the size of a pony, really. I think his head goes above my bull bar on the vehicle. How absolutely incredible that everyone can go from sleeping to wide awake. So we are going to try follow them for a little while, but not too long. Once darkness sets in, we'll actually end up leaving the pride because of the two younger youngsters, them not being old enough yet. They are under a year old. So we'll see what happens. If it's only the lionesses that go, we'll try follow them for a while, but I'm pretty sure all these youngsters are going to get up soon and follow. So first big yawn from the white lioness. See how this is contagious behavior. You know, as a human, when you see someone yawning, you also yawn. Basically, exactly the same thing happens with lions. All of them going to the bathroom, stretching, downward dog, a few yoga poses, and then time to go. You can see how some of the youngsters, they are a little bit more lazy. It's like, oh, Mom, do we really have to? Actually, the little white lioness, she looks quite interested in going. You can see she's like longingly staring in that direction. The older male white lion, he's always like, I don't think I'm ready for this yet. It often happens, teenagers or youngsters, when you're much younger, maybe 7 or 8 years old, whatever mom tells you to do, you do. But then when you get to about 14, 15 years of age, you almost just want to do your own thing. You want to become your own individual. Okay, I'm going to start up and go towards where the lionesses are. I'm pretty sure all these youngsters will come to us fairly soon. So they are walking. They are actually heading straight back onto the road. So if we can find a way of getting around them onto the road, we'll have the entire pride walk down the road straight towards us. It'll be wonderful. We got a question from Lauren asking how many cubs are there within this pride. So at the moment there are 8 cubs. Lauren, let me stop like there for you, Marcel, if you could just focus on that. Those are all the youngsters now staring straight at us and one walking our way. I'm not going to park here for too long because we're trying to get in front of the lead lioness. She's walking on the road already. So just like any animal and also humans, lions will, oh, we don't want to drive through that either. I'll give her a little bit of privacy in the road. Lions will choose to walk on the road because it's a path of least resistance. When they find something that they might want to hunt or go after, that's when they'll start moving off the road and looking for more cover, thicker vegetation, and they'll use that to their advantage. See some of the youngsters starting to come now. See the lioness in front, she walks a little bit, then she stops and she listens, she takes in all the smells and she walks a little bit more. Earlier on, when me and Marcel were sitting here, we heard a male lion roaring from very far south. When I say very far, probably 6 kilometers or so, maybe even 7. For a human being, we can hear that sound from up to 7 kilometers away. For the lions, they'd be able to hear it from further. See how this youngster is waiting for the rest of the cubs. I'm going to move off the road here and give them some space. Just got a question from Taylor asking how long can lions last without food. Taylor, can probably go for about a week to 8 days without food. It's not often that you find lions going for longer than 5 days though. I think that's even a push. You'll have their ribs showing quite badly after about 4 days. Oh, it's like the theme for today is just going off road and trying to find these animals again. We'll be with them soon. They're just still walking on the road. So Taylor, yeah, maybe about 8 days, 9 days. There we go, nice bit of open clearing there. Let me just slow down. Whew, big stump. Marcel, hold on. Okay, I am going to be on the road probably in the next minute or so. For now, I'm going to send you back to Lauren at Juma with Hyena while I get back to the road. I'll see you soon.
That, everybody, I'm not sure what's going on with Lauren's feed. You will see that we are now in black and white, and that's because night has just about fallen, and so we are in infrared. Now, for those of you who are new viewers, I shall explain what infrared is. Basically, it allows us to look at the animals without putting any artificial light on them. So you'll see me wafting a spotlight about from time to time, but as soon as we see an animal, we'll switch off the artificial light and use the infrared on the camera, and we'd also shine an infrared light on them, which of course they can't see. So it's light of a wavelength too long for the animals to see, but it allows us to see them because the camera is very clever. It can see infrared light, and this is just one of the ways that we try and have less impact on the animals than we might otherwise. The big thing about animals at night, especially nocturnal animals, is that they are nocturnal for a reason, and that's because they want to be active when it's dark. And so as soon as you shine a light on them, you're basically saying to them, well, sorry for you, I know you've been waiting all day for the darkness to come, but we're going to ruin that for you for just a little while. And so we try as far as possible to only use the infrared light. It's not always possible if we want to stay with an animal, but that's what we're doing. Alrighty, now for the same reasons, Rowan is not going to hang around with the lions for too much longer, so let's go back to Ngala as night falls and the lions head off into the darkness.
So here we go. Found the road. All the lions are still on the road. The pride slowly making their way back east. How absolutely amazing is that? Just having an entire pride of lions walk straight towards us. There's the male white lion, the one just giving a yawn now. You can see the young male to the side, to the right. And then one of the lead lionesses there in the back, standing very proud and just listening, looking off to her right and our left. It's actually quite nice to see them walking side by side when they were, the young male and the lioness. Oh, look at that. Absolutely stunning. Just all lie down, please. Got a message from a friend of mine earlier today, saying it's the most time she's ever heard someone say stunning. And in all honesty, for me, this has just been an absolutely stunning day, if I have to be completely honest. I mean, how else would you describe this? See, the little white lioness, she's just completely passed out again in front of the sub-adult male. Complete comfort. Beautiful face. We got a question from Matthew asking what time do lions usually sleep? Matthew, there's no bedtime for lions. There's no actual time where they'll just end up sleeping. I can tell you that they are quite lazy animals in the sense that they'll spend about 20 hours of their day just lazing around. Not all the time in deep sleep, but lying down exactly like they are now. But yeah, there's definitely no strict bedtime that a lion has to go to sleep. Oh, I could hear a little bit of a growl there as the one lioness passed just in front of the other one, almost asking to be groomed. Ooh. So Danny and Jeremy just asked, how long do lions live? I'll answer that question now. It's interesting. Did you see when the young male yawned that just how big he opened his mouth, that he could fit the entire little white lion's head into its mouth? It's quite scary how big a lion's mouth opens. So to get back to the question, lions, it also, again, it depends on whether it's a male or female. So the females tend to outlive the males. They could go for up to 18 years out here in the wild. We actually did have a female live for 18 years on Ngala. Then a male typically won't make it past the age of 14. Since I've been here, we've never really had a male lion go past the age of 12, just because the way they live their lives, being territorial, they often fight with other males. So if they fight and get injured, they can't hunt for themselves, which means they also probably lost the fight, so they'll be kicked out of the pride, and there goes their food source. If they don't get injured, again, they lost almost the protection of the pride, but also in the sense is their hunting buddies are gone. And being an older lion, they'll have to take to scavenging mostly. So yeah, males tend to not last as long as females. It always reminds me when I see a pride of lions, there's a There's an insurance company in South Africa called First for Women, and they only insure women because technically men and guys tend to do more silly things and probably worse to insure than women are. Marcel says it's just because it's fun. Risk takers. Absolutely. So I think I can actually see it getting darker and darker while we sit here. So we are going to leave them over here. We'll try and find them again in the morning. But I think for now, yeah, while it's getting so dark, some of them, actually that lioness is starting, no, she'll settle down. Right, yeah, we're going to send you back to James at Juma. I think tomorrow morning, most probably Sean will take you out, and then we'll come try and find the Birmingham Pride again. So back to James at Juma.
Hello again, everyone. We're just going to see if we can... I saw an eye shining there. Yeah, right in the middle there, Darv. Just zoom in as far as you can, or was that all we got? Up a bit? Yeah. No. Oh, it's probably... Oh, no, it's definitely in there. It's probably a wee bud. It's trying to hide in there. I thought it may be a bush baby, but it was not. Now, for those who are new viewers, we'll be driving around, of course, for about 20 minutes in the darkness. It does depend, of course, on the day. Normally it would be a bit lighter than this at this time of the day. And we're looking for nocturnal creatures, by and large. Civets, genets, chameleons, which aren't nocturnal but hang out on easily visible branches during the night. The odd snake, badgers if we're lucky, and of course the cats. African wild cats, if we're very lucky, sometimes servals, that sort of stuff. Now, I think that Ngala and Beyond Ngala has got a really good chance of showing you a civet this evening, because when I used to work there, we used to see them just about every night. And interestingly, here at Juma, we see their tracks everywhere, but we very seldom see them in the vehicles, and I can't work out why that should be the case. But at Ngala we used to see them all the time, so maybe Rowan will find you a civet before the night is over. Hello, Big Kev. You say you're nocturnal. Well, Big Kev, that's very interesting. I suspect you're not genuinely nocturnal. I suspect you just quite like to stay up late at night. But the reason that you're not nocturnal, or the reason that I say you're not nocturnal, is that I think it's highly unlikely that you spend your time in the darkness. You probably have the lights on in your home, Big Kev, which is basically, well, it's artificial light. So although many people like to stay up late at night, and they've moved their sort of what we call the circadian rhythm such that they operate late into the night and then get up late in the morning, they're not actually nocturnal, because of course they don't operate in the dark. But Big Kev, I know exactly what you mean. I'm the opposite. If I'm not in bed by 9 o'clock at night, I start to get panicky. Ah, yes, our Laura Moore, porcupines, certainly we could see. We see their tracks too. We see their quills left on the road. The last porcupine I saw smelt rather evil on account of the fact that it had been dead for some time. Probably very difficult to say what killed it, but it was in the teeth of a leopard by the time we found it. And we only found it because a hyena smelt it and led us to it. Once we got there, however, it became very clear what the hyena had smelt. Ah, Lauren will now tell you the story of when she saw a porcupine on night drive.
I was just going to tell you that story. Must be a mind reader. Yes, I had a fantastic experience on a night bumble. We call them bumbles. Apparently in the English countryside you call them rambles, but here we call them bumbles. And we went on a staff trip at night time. We don't really do much here in the bush, so, well, sometimes, occasionally we go on staff bumbles. And we went to shoot the stars. We didn't manage very successfully, but we tried. And we heard a rustle in the bush, and your heart for a moment thinks it could be anything. You obviously think the worst, so we all got a fright. Don't worry, we were safe in the vehicle. We were actually in this vehicle. And when we stopped the car and we had a look, it was a huge porcupine. And I had never seen a porcupine before. They're nocturnal animals and they tend to not come out until much, much later in the evening. Not just as the sun sets, if that makes sense. And it was a massive, way bigger than I had ever imagined porcupine, just going about his, well, nightly duties. And it was such a great experience, and I was sad I couldn't share it with all of you, but still we had that experience here at Twin Dams, one of our main dams here in Juma. So just before I forget, we had to leave the hyena den, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry, it got too dark and I don't want to stay after dark when there's young cubs. Now we do have an infrared light. It's a fantastic thing, as I mentioned earlier, but while we're driving and we don't have any animals, we may as well stay in colour, and that's why I'm using my spotlight. So we use the spotlight to find the animals, and generally we see eye shine. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not really looking for an outline of an animal. I'm looking for reflective eyes. A lot of the animals out here have a special layer, especially the predators, that is called the tapetum lucidum. I think it's Latin, and it means, well, there's lots of different definitions online, but essentially one of the definitions is brain tapestry, and it reflects the light twice back into the retina, and that allows you to have better night vision. So of course all the nocturnal animals definitely have this, and it reflects. So if my spotlight shines on a leopard, you'll see two eyes shining right back at you. So that's what I'm looking for in the dark here. And as soon as we see an animal, we stop the spotlight and then we go into infrared, where your picture will turn black and white. And now, oh, we do have an animal. Maybe I can show you this. Oh, no. That was a scrub hare, everyone. Not a leopard, but a scrub hare. But sadly, it has hopped off. Oh, I think I've terrified it. I'm sorry, Mr. Scrub hare. You have a fantastic evening. Okay, I'm doing one last loop in hope of finding any nocturnal animals, and wish me luck with my spotlight. And while I do that, we are going to send you back across to Rowan, who I imagine would have his spotlight out too.
Yeah, welcome back. Thanks, Lauren. So we are slowly heading back in the direction of the lodge. Just seeing what else we can find in the dark. It's actually a lovely temperature. I'm still sitting in short sleeve. Marcel's still sitting in short sleeve. But yeah, what a gorgeous day. It's actually quite nice when you drive back at night just to reflect on everything you've seen, what you've achieved today. Like just how everything worked out in the end. And everything did work out for us. Trying to find this pride of lions this morning. Not being able to, and then eventually this afternoon we do find them, and even a little leopard in the mix there. You see it's getting a lot darker. There's a lot of cloud cover. Got a question from Tyler asking if we've ever found a pangolin here. And yes, we have. Since I've been here, I have seen pangolins on 8 different occasions. The last time I myself, actually I can't even take the credit for this. The last time my vehicle found a pangolin was about 2 years ago. And I remember driving on one of the boundary roads with the Timbavati, going, and I remember that morning we were actually going out looking for cheetah. in the west. So we're going to just look into big open plains, see if we can find any sign of a cheetah. And I had a girl sitting in the back seat. She was 9 years old, and she just like once shot, Rowan, I think I saw a turtle back there. So, you know, we still have this whole big plan in my mind about, yeah, no, we have to go this way and go look for a cheetah, but perfectly fine. Okay, yeah, very cool. Turtle, okay, maybe not a turtle, maybe a tortoise. Tortoises are land dwellings. So I go back, now reverse. Like, okay, just tell me when, and I go back. She's like, yeah, there, stop. Underneath that tree. And just underneath this tree is a pangolin actually feeding on termites. When your mind is just absolutely blown, you know, and it was one of those instances thinking, I'm on my way, I want to try and find a cheetah, you know, we don't really have too much time for this, but, you know, I'm happy she spotted something, it's actually really cool, she's a 9-year-old kid, go back, and it turned out to be a pangolin. So there's one thing that I have just learned from the bush: just be patient. That's all you need out here, is just patience. If you wait it out, truth be told, you're going to see extraordinary things. So yes, I have seen a pangolin. Whew, it's getting a lot darker very quick. We got a question from Luke asking whether we get anteater-like animals here. Luke, most probably the closest thing to that would be an aardvark. Kayla, you should have asked me about an aardvark. I've really not seen too many. I've seen 4, yeah, and it's always driving back at night on the way back from home, and you just see a fleeting glimpse of an aardvark crossing the road and disappearing, either into a hole that it dug itself or just thick vegetation. So it takes your mind about 3 seconds to register, oh wow, I just want aardvark. Was anyone actually looking at that? And usually majority of the time they're not even looking at the road, they're looking around. Yeah, we've got some scrubbies on the road. No, they just went off to the left. So the chances of me finding you on aardvark at the moment, probably not very high, if I have to be honest. But you never know. You know, the bush surprises you all the time. So maybe just because you said aardvark now, one's just going to appear in front of us. There's another scrubby up in the road. So you'll notice every now and then I'm going to switch my lights off, just because us driving with the lights on towards a scrub here is gonna actually blind them, and they'll keep on running on the road for a little while longer. So for those of you that don't know what a scrubber is, it's not like a bunny. Okay, so while I am doing my best not to blind any scrubbies, I'm gonna send you back to James at Juma, who's with an Impala.
We are with Impala, and I just want to show you what happens when we turn the infrared light off. David, do it. Ho! Complete darkness. Back on again. So that just gives you an idea of what the infrared light does and the power that it has, and how very clever these cameras are. You can imagine existing in an environment like this where it was that dark. And they almost certainly see better than we do at night, but they don't see as well as some of their predators. And so I imagine every evening must be fairly terrifying. Hello, Youngster Pro. The most common nocturnal animal, I suppose, would be, well, the most common nocturnal mammal would be the scrub hare. They are all over the place, and to say that they breed like bunnies would be absolutely true. They do. The most common animal at night, I suppose, would be a termite alate on those days when they emerge from the termite mounds. You can see them not reacting to this light at all, which is great. Taylor, I find that this notion that eyes are different colours in different spotlights to be largely untrue. I've heard people say, oh, you know, African wildcats have got bright yellow eyes under spotlight. I find very much that depends on the angle. So impalas are sort of, I mean, if I was to pick a colour, I suppose they're greeny blue, but they can look yellow. They can look red sometimes if you catch them at the right angle. You're not obviously seeing colour there now. You're seeing it all in black and white. So they just look like white pinpricks. But it really does depend on the angle at which the light strikes the eye. The old thing used to be, you know, if it's got red eyes, it's a predator. No, that's definitely not true. I've seen plenty of predators with eyes that are yellowish, bluish hue. All right. Now, the reason that we've come off the Impala is that David is sick of filming them, and so we shall continue into the night. Oh dear, there goes the lights. Oh, there we are, we're back. Phew. What a relief. Lauren is now apparently on the search for a camouflaged reptile.
I am looking for a chameleon. However, I'm not having much luck. We know there's one in this area. They're fairly territorial, and the reason you find them at night time is because they actually turn white, or pale yellow, should I say, against a spotlight. Now, chameleons are already camouflaged. They look like leaves. So when you see them changing colour, they're not actually changing colour to become camouflage, because they're already camouflage. A lot of people get this wrong. They're actually changing colour to express their mood. It's all about their mood. And they're diurnal, which means they're daytime animals. And when they do decide to settle down for the night, they actually reduce their metabolism. They're reptiles after all. And their coloration becomes very, very pale. And that's how it's easy to pick them up at night time. But sadly, I think this one is hiding. So maybe they're not as easy as I thought they were. I thought it would be a really nice way to finish today's epic drive with hyenas, hippos with sticks, the lion pride at Ngala and beyond, but sadly I have failed looking for this chameleon. It's summer, so we see chameleons quite a lot, and of course we do get lucky at night time. You can see them during the day. That's actually when they're the most active, but they're very, very camouflage. And people think they're the fastest at changing colour in the animal kingdom, but they're actually not. Octopus are, but they change colour in completely different ways from octopus. Octopus use neural control, so it's all about signals in the brain, and they can change colours of these special cells within seconds, whereas chameleons take a little bit longer. Is that a leaf, Owen, or a chameleon? It could be a leaf. Hold on, I'm going to turn off the car. Could be a leaf, it could be a chameleon. That is the question. It's a chameleon! I did it! 1 minute to spare, and Lauren does it. We have a chameleon. Should I drive a little bit closer? Okay, let's drive a little bit closer. With my one hand. I did it! Okay. Oh, hello, little one. You are beautiful. Yes, you are. I'm glad it wasn't a leaf, everyone. That could have been rather embarrassing, but it's not. This is a chameleon. It's the flap-necked chameleon, and it's clinging on to this little branch for dear life in the wind. And you can see that it's starting to go very, very pale. A pale yellow, a creamy colour, and that is what we spot at night time. This was a last minute spot, so I'm going to congratulate myself. Well done, Lauren. But everyone, I know we have so many viewers on board with us, new viewers. And from all of us at Djuma Game Reserve and Ngala and Beyond, we want to say thank you for jumping on board. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will be out in the morning, and please join us then.